Hey everybody, welcome back. Thank you so much for being here. Today we're going to be talking about a losing trade that I took. Yes, I did take a losing trade, but I'm going to talk about what I learned from it and essentially what I was looking for and kind of looking back on why maybe I should have waited a little bit longer to see if the trade would have worked out in my favor, and I'll kind of explain that in the video. But right now we're going to be talking about the trade I took, and I hope you get some value from this video. Let's get started. So we're gonna start on the daily time frame. Perfect. All right, so as you can see, we took out the weekly high. So I had that marked out, but what my analysis was I wanted to see the market continue to push higher for these daily relative equal highs and potentially in trade higher Monday and Tuesday and then go lower for the rest of the week. It is NFP week, however, so we could see some crazy movement, but there was no news today. There is news tomorrow, and then of course NFP is on Friday, but we have FOMC in the afternoon on Wednesday. So for me this week, I'd say the best trades are going to be taken probably Monday or Tuesday and then potentially Thursday before NFP. But we'll see how it kind of works out. So today I was kind of hoping to maybe see a setup, maybe see something we like. And again, I was looking for these daily relative equal highs to be taken. And I'll kind of show you why I wanted to get in a buy. So let's drop down to the 1 hour time frame. Perfect. So we actually traded down into this 1 hour fair value, 1 hour volume imbalance. And then we slightly took out that sell side liquidity here. So I was like, we could potentially see a deeper retracement into the 1 hour fair value gap, but after the 1 hour candle kind of moved higher, not even closing above this 1 hour volume imbalance, but also not quite like we respected this PD array. I was expecting the market to potentially trade higher into this buy side liquidity. But in hindsight, it is Monday and there wasn't actually that much movement, and I probably could have just stayed out of the trade. However, I did like the setup, so I took it, and sometimes that happens. Sometimes your trades are going to be losers, but that's just part of the game, am I right? So we traded down into this 1 hour volume imbalance, taking out this sell side liquidity by like a tick. And then we see the market trade higher. Again, I was going for this buy side liquidity potentially, and then these daily relative equal highs up here. So plus we had traded off of this daily order block last Friday. And again, yeah, I was just hoping to see some buy side on Monday taken. Now let's go down to the 15-minute time frame. All right, so here's where it got a little interesting, because I did see that we had like this 15-minute breaker here, and I was expecting the market to either kind of close above it and then push higher, or close below it and then push lower. And we can see the market has been respecting this 15-minute breaker, and we do have these like crazy wicks. So again, this morning was just probably best to stay out of the markets. And in my analysis, I wanted to see the market, the 15-minute candle close above this breaker, so I think I was being a little impatient when I entered into this trade. As you can see, that breaker has been respecting. We did have a deeper retracement into this 15-minute fair value gap, but I'll show you what I was looking for. So on the 5-minute time frame, we had like this kind of these two consecutive down close candles. So I marked this out because I like trading the 5-minute order block with a 1-minute fair value gap, especially when we already have traded into a higher time frame analysis or PD array, and then we're going for liquidity, like we know where our draw on liquidity is. So I like how we had this kind of 5-minute order block here, and then we pushed higher. And I like seeing this because I wanted to see that displacement take place, trade lower into a 1-minute fair value gap, and then continue to push higher. Again, we didn't actually close above that 15-minute breaker on the 15-minute time frame. And as you can see, we're obviously moving lower, and we traded lower into that 50-minute fair value gap. I'll show you where my trade is. So after we see this kind of displacement here, this 1 minute fair value gap was my entry. I had my stops just below this low here. And again, I wanted to see that buy side liquidity taken. However, we did in fact hit my stop loss, and that is all right. It is totally fine. But again, looking back at this trade, I could have waited for that 15-minute candle to close above the breaker. The fact that we were continued to wick it but closing inside the breaker was a sign that, hey, maybe we do want to move lower and we're not going to go for those higher time frame objectives. Or simply, hey, maybe this morning is just not the best to trade because the market is doing these crazy wicks and has uncertainty. And it's almost kind of like we took out this high and then we took out this low, you know, so we're kind of, I would say, a little bit just consolidating this morning. And again, looking back, I probably could have just not traded today. Seeing this price action, you know, I think I was more just excited to get into a trade, and I did like the setup. So I'll give myself some credit. I did like the setup. We've seen that setup pass at least 80% of the time, you know, so, but yeah, again, just having that breaker, and then we had that 15-minute fair value gap below it, and the market did in fact end up respecting that breaker, going lower and back into this 1 hour volume imbalance potentially. I think overall the market conditions were just not probable for my setup, and I think that we were a little bit impatient because we didn't wait for that close above the 15-minute breaker on the 15-minute candle. And yeah, I mean, again, we did like that setup, but it just hit our stop loss, and what can you do, right? Moving forward, I know I'm going to be a little bit more patient, potentially not even trade on Mondays, because I find that some Mondays can be good, but some Mondays are just setting us up for the week, right? So trading on Mondays can always be like a tricky game. So moving forward, I'll definitely remember that as well. And when you have like these PD arrays, like I liked how we traded off this 1 hour volume imbalance, but then we traded into this 15-minute breaker, and we just continued to see, like, I'll go back up to that 15-minute time frame. We continued to see like this kind of action that we were kind of stuck in between these two PD arrays. That is also not a good sign for some trending movement, which is really what I'm looking for. I'm looking to get into a trade that'll move to our liquidity areas. So seeing all this and understanding this, I can look back and say, hey, I do like the setup, but I think the market conditions and just like the higher time frame PD arrays were not on my side necessarily, and I was wrong. And I think that is all right. It's okay to be wrong sometimes, and it's okay to be wrong in trading, especially because most profitable systems are 50% win rate, and you could be profitable. So you could be wrong half the time, but right half the time and still be profitable. So it's a complete mind flip that we have to realize that taking losses is actually okay, and being wrong is okay. So I wanted to show you guys this losing trade because it's important to know that losing trades are just part of the game that we're playing. Taking a losing trade is only going to set you up better for your next winning trade. Understanding what went wrong is only going to make your game better. So even though I took a loss today, it could have been a win. I could have been on this YouTube video being like, hey, I just took a win, but in fact, I was wrong on the direction, and that's all right with me. So I hope you got some value from this video. It's definitely coming raw from the heart. Like, showing you guys my losing trades is definitely something out of my comfort zone, because sometimes when I take a losing trade, I feel really upset about it. But lately I'm trying to like flip that mindset, trying to flip my mind and understand that being wrong in trading especially is 100% okay. And I just want to make it more okay. So if you're taking some losing trades, don't worry, it's all part of the process. Don't worry. If you got a 50% win rate, you will be profitable. So it's definitely something to work on. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all soon. Bye for now.